What is EMDR? This question has been asked about 50 times since I started the channel. What is EMDR and is it real? And the simple answer to that question is yes and no. Now, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, or EMDR, is I suppose, a controversial therapy which was first developed during the 1980s by an American psychologist called Francine Shapiro. Story says that she was strolling through a park when she realized, quite by chance, that moving her eyes from side to side appeared to reduce her negative thoughts. And this subjective experience that she had motivated her to study the phenomenon in a more systematic way. Shapiro largely based EMDR on existent research at the time, which showed that rapid eye movement aided in processing memories during sleep. The theory behind EMDR, then, is that rapid eye movements, whilst consciously recalling memories of a traumatic event or experience, would help the patient process or come to grips with it. And so EMDR emerged and was promoted as a treatment for PTSD, and the therapy consists now of three components. Firstly, the prescribed eye movement, the EM part. And this is where the patient's eyes follow the therapist's fingers in a set pattern. Second, then, there's desensitization, which is the D, and this is the emotional ebbing and flow of emotional distress through the recollection of the trauma. And thirdly, then, there's the reprocessing, which is the R part. And that's the phase where the patient reinterprets those negative experiences in a more constructive way. Now, after conducting trials and elaborating on her methodology, Shapiro published a textbook detailing her method in 1995. It received mixed reviews. Some lauded the therapy as a miracle treatment for people suffering from PTSD, essentially generating an entire paradigm shift in the field. And some therapists, completely infatuated by her findings, even started applying her methods to attempt to treat a host of other conditions, from schizophrenia to eating disorders. Others, however, were less impressed. In 2001, an article by three leading scholars in the field of psychology, Professors Jeffrey Law, James Herbert, and Scott Lilienfeld, called out Shapiro's trauma therapy as basically pseudoscience. They showed that you could simply remove the first and third phases of the entire process, which would leave you with desensitization, which essentially is a sensible treatment which had been effectively employed by psychologists for decades, long before Shapiro proposed her method. Nonetheless, very recently in 2021, in an article published in the scientific journal Frontiers in Psychology, leading European scholars of psychology Charles Skelle and Louis Carlo Bulnes proposed that EMDR may not only be beneficial for treating PTSD, but also addictions, eating disorders, mood disorders, and sexual dysfunctions, among others. In other words, there's currently no settled scholarly consensus on the use or efficacy of EMDR as a psychological therapy. But it will be immensely exciting, I suppose, to see what research brings up on EMDR and what research will deliver on EMDR in the years to come. Well, right now, it's not recognized as a, shall we say, as a proven therapy. Not the eye movement part, anyway. That answer your question?
Okay, are you ready? Because you have to think about what you're plugging in and for how long.
Stop talking about extension cord safety.
I won't stop talking about it until you start practicing it. Now you know you're not supposed to plug those things into an extension cord.
I need my beauty appliances.
You're not even supposed to plug them in that way, let alone days.
Oh, really? We're okay. Sorry. Veronica and the baby boo. Okay. What is EMDR?